Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, he's the founder of both Pizza Patron and Wingstop, two very successful franchises. He thinks he has the right recipe for Washington. Why he's running for Congress, next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
In this election season, I'm always fascinated by people who decide to run for office who've never run before. One of those guys is the guy next to me, Antonio Swad. He's a Republican candidate for the 32nd Congressional District. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Okay, the founder of both Pizza Patron and Wingstop, two wildly successful franchises. You've had a nice life, continue to have a nice life. Why in the world are you running for office?
I think that's my number one question, because I have had a wonderful life, a blessed life, and I'm grateful for every minute of it. But I think the first thing that I wanted to do was get my family's security kind of put to bed, and we've done that. And through the business entrepreneurial ship that I was afforded to do in this great land, but I still have something to give. I couldn't sit at home and see the direction of the way the country's gone. I have children, I have a grandchild. I want them to have the same opportunity that I had, and I think something needs to change in Washington.
I found one of your political spots that I want to run right now.
When I was 15, I was washing dishes full time. People told me I'd never make it in the restaurant business. They said I'd fail, but I never gave up. And I went on to build 2 successful national businesses, creating thousands of jobs. I'm Antonio Swad. The American dream doesn't come from a government handout. It comes from hard work and opportunity. In Congress, I'll fight to preserve our freedom and the American dream. That's why I approve this message.
And we should point out that the restaurant industry is a brutal industry. It's a tough business to be successful in, and you've done it not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Bringing that experience to Washington, what would that allow you to do?
Well, I think restaurant business is one of those industries where it requires a lot of common sense. I mean, things pretty much are what they appear, and they require you to act and correct and do things kind of on the fly. I think the direction that we're heading, particularly fiscally with this country, is an irresponsible direction, and we need to get people that can get in there, assess the situation, just like you do in the restaurant industry or any business really. You assess it, you decide what needs to happen, and you make changes. There's a lot that needs to be changed, but it seems like we keep electing the same people and they keep doing the same thing, and we're gone in the same direction.
Okay, you're not following the traditional roadmap, which is go to law school.
Be a lawyer, yeah.
Right? Maybe run for city council first.
Yeah.
Do you find that your lack of political experience is an asset?
I think it's an asset once I get the job and get to serve the people that I represent in Washington. I think that's definitely an asset, because I think the idea is to be truly representative of the people, and I would be more like them than people that that go that traditional path. I came from a working class family, like many of the people in 32 are working folks. I relate to that. So I think when I get the job, it not coming from political background is a benefit. However, as a candidate, you have a lot to learn along the way. If I had some experience as a candidate, I could have saved a lot of money or used the money more wisely, I could tell you that, and maybe done a better job as a candidate. But I'm focused on getting the job and doing the job better than it's ever been done before.
And I should also point out that you're not necessarily being overly coached by political experts who say walk this way, talk this way. The person we're seeing right now is the real you.
Yeah, that's true, and I think that's the way it ought to be. But you know, that I've learned that it's an entire industry, you know, running candidates, and they really just don't care so much about the candidate, because every 2 years or every election cycle they get more meat to put in that grinder, you know, and more flyers to print, more signs to make, and more TV spots to cut, and it's an entire industry, and I had no idea it was so huge, you know.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about what the voters in Congressional District 32 care about. We've got some pictures from your Facebook. You have spent a lot of time right out there shaking hands, haven't you?
Yeah, listening. I think and that's the important part, is to really listen to people and, you know, find out where their pain is. And it's really interesting to me. We're not all that different. We're really not. You know, most people want pretty much the same things. They want a safe environment to raise their families. They want affordable prices when they go to the store. A dozen eggs is $4.50 now. I mean, in some places. And those eggs don't care if that's going to make a Republican omelet or a Democrat omelet. And families are struggling. You know, it's a combination of things. It's a combination. Everything that's happened to the country in the last couple of years, I think you can trace back to a decision that was the wrong decision. I think the inflationary thing right now is a combination, that perfect storm. It's a combination of a poor energy policy. Everything takes energy, either to make it or to bring it to you, and putting a whole bunch of extra unearned income into the system contributes to inflation as well.
Let's talk about some of the other issues you're passionate about. Border security.
Yeah. I actually went down to the border a few weeks ago. I spent 2 days and a couple of nights down there witnessing firsthand, you know, what's happening. And if you think people are just coming across the border, you'd be correct. It's just in the Del Rio sector where I was, they get about 2,000, I'm saying that right, people a day come across the border, come in the river. They're put in the river on the other side. They're very organized on the other side. And then they, as soon as they come over, they start the process of being kind of processed in and taken to a facility. And they stay there 1 to 2 days, and then they're redistributed throughout the country. It's really happening. But here's the thing that I like to tell people. You know, my grandparents were Ellis Island immigrants. They came through Ellis Island. Ellis Island was open for 32 years. It processed about 12 million immigrants in 32 years. We've had 5 million people come across the border in 22 months.
Wow.
I mean, think about that for a second. And the thing about Ellis Island, you came across, you were checked out for your health-wise, be sure that where you were going to go. If you had a sponsor, be sure that you know, there would be somebody to kind of vouch for you and kind of take care of you, look after you, so you wouldn't end up on the street. None of that's happening right now. But just the number just shocks me.
Yes, law enforcement. I know there was a lot from the left about defund the police, and now some of those very progressive cities are now refunding the police.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on law enforcement?
You know, I rode with the police the other night, a couple weeks ago, actually a Friday night. Got to see firsthand, you know, what that job's about. I'm not sure what we pay the guys, but I don't think it's enough. We need to support these people. I don't know anybody that when something really happens. I had a guy break into my house a couple of years ago, came home in the middle of the day. You know, I called the police, and the thing that I'll never forget is two policemen showed up, and the guy got out of his car, he popped the trunk, he put on a vest, and you know, and I'm thinking, this isn't even his house. You know, there's a very dangerous man inside. I have quite a few weapons in my house, and they were all inside, and so was the guy that broke in. And I was thinking, these guys doing this for me, it's not his house, it's not his family, but that's what he has to do every day. I mean, I got mad respect for that, and they need to be supported.
Let's talk about the energy situation. We were close to energy independence just a couple years ago. Have we lost sight of the overriding goal of all of this?
Yes, I think we've lost sight of the fact that energy, a sound energy policy, like we talked earlier, is a contributing factor in the price of everything. And inflation hurts everyone. Almost somewhat equally, but it hurts people that are a little closer to the dime even more. Yeah, I think, it's really a shame that I watch the news just like everybody, and we're over there begging for oil when we used to have our own production was ramped up and we had plenty of resources. This country, there are many great things about the United States of America, but just one thing is the resources that we have here within our own border is phenomenal. But if they're not allowed to be tapped in a responsible way, in an environmentally responsible way, it goes for naught. And then we end up losing that energy independence. And of course, now we see what that's done to the price of everything.
Education.
Yeah. I'm one of these guys that think parents should really be involved in their children's lives, and I think they should have a say. I support homeschooling if you choose to do it. There are some very fine organizations that can help produce the curriculum and stuff for homeschooling, but if that's the way you choose to go, but parents really, they shouldn't be able to use the excuse, well, that the school won't let me get involved. No, get involved, have a say, and be engaged in what's happening with your kids' education. And I think that if they did that and they took a hard look, some of the things that they see would be shocking. I know this process has helped me take a look at things that I wouldn't normally look at. I don't have any kids in elementary school anymore. My youngest is in high school, but the things that are being taught in the elementary and the middle school, those are things that I think are best taught at the kitchen table by your parents.
We only have a couple of minutes left. Final thoughts, what would you like to leave the audience with?
Well, I want to just say that, we're all guilty of kind of complaining about the government. We offer quick critiques constantly, but if you don't like the way it's gone, change it. And the great thing about the system, particularly the job that I'm running for, House of Representative, Congressman, it changes every 2 years. You come up for election, change it, and then hold that person that you elect accountable. And if you don't like the work that he or she did, get rid of them. Send somebody new.
Thank you so much for your time. We're going to end with your website, which is swadforcongress.com. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.